Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now we are seeing a total collapse in the price of Bitcoin and the crypto market, with obviously Bitcoin dumping like this and now breaking below a crucial area of support that we need to pay attention to, pointing towards much lower targets, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum obviously doing the same here, breaking below a crucial area of support on the price chart, pointing towards new bearish price targets, while the price of XRP is of course doing the same, but now hitting my first massive price target that I've been talking about for months now on the channel. So of course, if this level breaks, that could point towards an even further collapse towards much lower targets. So yes, I'm still currently in this trade, but I have just closed my Bitcoin trade over the last one day. So in just a moment, I'll be giving you a complete and total update on my exact trading strategy, sharing with you how I'm planning to profit from all of this that's happening right now. So definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a really quick look at the US stock market today. This is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame, and as of recording this video, I'm recording just before the US stock market set to open. So we are in the pre-market trading, and as of right now, we are seeing a drop in the pre-market. In other words, when the stock market opens up very soon, potentially by the time you're watching this video, it might have just opened, but basically we're set to open below the previous trading day close. In other words, we're just seeing a continued drop, at least for now, in the US stock market, which, as I always say, the stock market and the crypto market are highly correlated, which means it's likely that, of course, this is going to help cause more bearish price action for Bitcoin and crypto, which, of course, we are indeed seeing. And so just keep that in mind throughout the video. And as I've mentioned many times recently here on the channel, while the US stock market is showing weakness in the short term, do not expect any strength right now for the Bitcoin and crypto market. And if we're taking a look at some Bitcoin news today, before taking a quick look at the charts, right now looking at the Bitcoin ETF flows, we have the numbers for, of course, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday so far. And especially Tuesday and especially Wednesday, just yesterday, we saw a massive net outflow. So we started off the week okay with a net inflow of around 561 billion US dollars. And then Tuesday, we undid half of that net inflow with a net outflow of 272 million US dollars. And then, of course, Wednesday, another net outflow of over $500 million, 544.9 million US dollars, leaving the Bitcoin ETFs just yesterday. And the largest individual outflow from an individual ETF yesterday was, of course, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, losing over $373 million out of that ETF fund. In other words, BlackRock effectively had to dump almost $400 million on Wednesday worth of Bitcoin, almost $400 million worth of Bitcoin they had to effectively dump due to the fact that investors were, of course, selling the ETF shares, getting their money out of this BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, especially yesterday. And so, of course, this is just extra sell pressure, another bearish factor to consider when it comes to the short-term price action, pushing the price of Bitcoin lower, at least for now. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today here on the weekly time frame, nothing's really changed over the last few days. In fact, for months now on the channel, I've been talking about how this super trend indicator is sitting in the red, which indicates at least a larger correction, but most likely a larger bearish market. Obviously, we usually play out at least some sort of multi-month bearish trend, maybe even a 1-year bear market, for example, when this super trend indicator is sitting in the red. So of course, that is still the case on the weekly time frame. Nothing has changed for months now. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, as I've been warning about since basically all-time highs, we still have this massive bearish divergence still active, not yet been invalidated, which means continue to expect a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum on the larger timeframes. Remember, this is a long-term signal, not a short-term signal. So here and there on smaller timeframes, yes, we could see little bounces and things like that. But if we're zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, talking about what to expect over multiple months, things are still not looking good. But it is worth pointing out that right now, for the first time in multiple years, we're starting to see the weekly Bitcoin RSI enter into oversold territories for the first time since the middle of 2022. And what happened last last time was, of course, a bit of a relief at some stage in the next multiple weeks. But remember, this is not necessarily a short-term signal. And as always, it's not necessarily a bottom signal. Obviously, the price ultimately went lower at some stage later on after that previous oversold signal. But it's just worth pointing that out. So just consider that we are getting close to oversold and now actually entering into oversold on the weekly time frame. But once again, overall, when we're talking about the momentum and the trend, things are still looking very much bearish. Remember, do not expect any bullish momentum. Do not expect really any strength right now, at least in the short to mid-term, and especially talking about the next couple of months for Bitcoin and crypto. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, of course, we're continuing that next crash towards the downside, actually a little bit sooner than what was expected based on this fractal right here. Obviously, we're still seeing somewhat similar price action at the moment compared to what we saw roughly around the middle of 2022. Obviously, I've been talking about this fractal for quite some time, since basically all the way back up here. Once we broke back below 94,000 after the previous breakout, that was the signal to invalidate the breakout, and therefore we're starting to play out this bearish scenario, which I've been warning about every day for weeks now, since back at 94,000, obviously warning about all of this still to come. But obviously, as I've discussed just over the last half a week, over the last few days, we were technically due to see, based on this fractal right here, due to see maybe a slight little break from the bearish price action before more bearish price action later on, kind of like what we saw in May 2022. But we're basically just skipping that break altogether and just simply continuing with that next bearish move. Obviously, we had 1 to 2 days where we saw a slight little bounce, a slight little choppy sideways price action for around 1 to 2 days. But obviously, last time in 2022, it was a couple of weeks worth of choppy sideways price action and then the next crash. Right now, obviously, we just played out around 1 to 2 days worth of that, and now already starting the next crash. So if anything, right now, we're actually in a worse situation than 2022. We're actually seeing more bearish momentum than what we saw last time. And if we're zooming out a little bit, taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're now breaking well below this very important area of support based on previous significant support and also previous significant resistance. And that's sitting in between roughly 72,000 to 76,000. And right now, as of recording this video, the price is actually breaking below 70,000. We're now entering into the 60K range. And the next significant area of support to watch out for, of course, we can likely find little short-term supports along the way, but the next significant area of support towards the downside here on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart is sitting in between around 53,000 to 56,000. Yes, that is right. We have a real possibility of seeing another 20% dump towards the downside from where we are now. But once again, it is worth pointing out that we are entering well into oversold in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. And the last time we even just briefly hit oversold in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, within the next few days, over the next couple of weeks, once again, not necessarily the next hour, but in the next couple of weeks, we saw just a slight little bullish relief before then more bearish price action later on. But I'm just saying that to say, do not be fooled if we see some sort of slight little bullish relief, because the bigger picture still very much looking bearish. And so let's just say if we start to see some sort of bounce or some sort of slight little relief, maybe to retest this previous support here at 72,000 to 76,000, and then especially if we fail to get back above that area and we start to struggle in that area, flipping support into new resistance, in that situation, that would give us potentially some time to reset the RSI, giving us more room towards the downside later on, and of course, further confirming the bearish breakdown. So once again, short term, yes, here and there, we can see little bounces and things like that, but overall, looking at the bigger picture, the larger trends that we're in, we're still clearly looking bearish. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, looking at the last 1 year worth of price action, we could really see two massive areas of liquidity, especially over the last multiple months, that have now been wiped out. First of all, back in around November 2025, we had a lot of liquidity in the lower 90K area and the high 80K area. And obviously that got wiped out with that collapse previously. And right now we're actually wiping out a massive area of liquidity as of recording this video just over the last few hours, which was in the lower 70K area, around 70,000 to 73,000. And of course, in my last video just yesterday, I discussed that this next liquidity grab will likely happen. We'll likely see another dip towards the downside to wipe out this liquidity. But I said when it comes to my Bitcoin long position, I would only keep that open if we first wipe out the liquidity and then we we start to bounce after wiping out the liquidity. But I explained in my last video, if we wipe out the liquidity, but then we're not really seeing any bounce, we're actually continuing lower below this support at 72K, that will be the point where I'll just completely cut that long. Obviously, we're not playing out the bullish relief and we're just continuing the next collapse towards the downside. So obviously that's exactly what I did. I just followed my own trading plan that I laid out over the last few days. So right now I'm completely out of that Bitcoin long position, which I only really had as a short-term hedge in case we were to play out obviously some sort of slight little relief like what we saw last time in 2022. And of course, what I was hedging against was my active XRP shorts position, which is still the case. I'm still in this XRP shorts position. Actually took a little bit more profits over the last one day due to hitting price targets, which I'll talk about in just a moment later in the video when I'm talking about XRP. But once again, still short on XRP and completely cut that long for Bitcoin. So of course, cut the losers, let the winners ride is basically the trading strategy here. And obviously, even if I lost a couple of K on the Bitcoin trade, right now with the XRP trade, it's roughly 13,000 USD in profits, which more than covers any slight little loss from that short-term Bitcoin trade, which is why I was just quick to cut that Bitcoin trade. And of course, still leaving the XRP short open because right now things are clearly looking very much bearish. And so that's a quick and easy update on my Bitcoin trade, just obviously completely out of the trade, as you can see right here on my BTNX account. So nothing else to add here for Bitcoin. And of course, the XRP trading strategy I'll discuss in just a moment when I'm talking about XRP. But of course, if you want to take any of these trades, whether it's bullish, bearish, you can make money in both directions, but you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the BTNX crypto exchange, which is the exchange that I used to trade for Bitcoin over the last few days. And by the way, it's also a no KYC exchange. And using that link below the video, you can see it'll take you to this page where there's an exclusive prize pool of up to 50,000 USDT. In other words, if you make your account using that link and actually sign up to this right here, just by trading crypto, you can get potentially a bunch of major prizes here, a bunch of bonuses just by simply making an account using that link and trading crypto. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out and take advantage of this. Once again, first link below the video. And in case you're wondering, yes, BTNX is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use, which is also a no KYC exchange and is the exchange that I'm using right now for this XRP trade, then in that situation, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which by the way is also a no KYC exchange. And they just recently partnered with La Liga. So there's currently an event to celebrate this partnership with 800,000 USD in prizes just by trading crypto using that link below the video to 2bit, the second link below the video. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out as well. Take advantage of these extra prizes here just by trading crypto using that link. And once again, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and right now we're actually seeing a short-term pullback in the Bitcoin dominance right now. But obviously, we're still ultimately in a bit of a sideways price range, just kind of chopping around sideways, relatively range bound with relatively horizontal resistance and horizontal support. So overall, in terms of the trend or the price structure for the Bitcoin dominance is still pretty much neutral at this point, which basically tells us expect very similar price action for a lot of the major altcoins out there on average as to what Bitcoin is doing, which means, of course, if Bitcoin is looking like this, dumping towards the downside, expect something similar to this for a lot of the major altcoins is basically what this is telling us right now. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame right now, obviously the price of ETH is also following Bitcoin with that continued dump towards the downside. Once again, a lot of this market is highly correlated. If Bitcoin moves down, it'll likely take down the rest of the market with it. And right now, once again, that's the case for Ethereum, breaking below this massive area of support here, which was sitting in between around 2150 to 2250. And of course, this area of support is based on the golden pocket area of support, the most important Fibonacci area on the price chart, and also based on previous significant support in the price of ETH. And obviously, over the last few days, we did see a decent short-term little bounce from that level, but obviously with the bearish momentum at the moment and with Bitcoin breaking down, once again, that's pulling Ethereum down along with it. And right now that the price of ETH is breaking below 2150, the next massive level of support based on this Fibonacci level here is sitting at around 1800, 1.8K. So from where we are right now now, as of recording this video, to that price target, that's still potentially roughly a 12% move down from where we are right now, even after all of this bearish price action. And so that's potentially another trading opportunity, not financial advice, but just pointing out a potential opportunity to make some money with a short position. Once again, not financial advice. I'm just simply pointing out a likely movement on the price chart and the next major target or point of support I'll be watching out for. And of course, if we were to break out back above 2150 to 2250, that would at least temporarily invalidate that break towards the downside. So that'll be the point of invalidation for some sort of trade like that. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day time frame, zooming out a little bit, obviously we could see a massive breakdown for Ethereum below this massive support here, which on the low end was at roughly 2.2k. Once again, this support roughly 2.2k, especially around 2150, which is now obviously breaking, as we could see, as the next significant area of support on the 3-day time frame. If we break below 1.8k, would be sitting in between around 1.5k to 1.6k. And right now, of course, it is worth pointing out that the 3-day Ethereum RSI is entering into oversold for the first time since around mid-2025. And of course, the last time we actually saw a break towards the downside below around 2.2k with confirmation on the 3-day time frame, we continued a dump towards the downside over the next few days, over the next 1 week or so, down towards oversold, and then we hit oversold, and then we actually bounced from give or take 1.8k, which is that level of support that I mentioned earlier. So once again, it's possible we continue a bit of a dump closer towards 1.8k, and then last time, once again, we bounced from close to 1.8k to reset the RSI a little bit out of oversold, giving us more room towards the downside for another dump towards the downside, down towards 1.5k to 1.6k as the next target. And so I'd not be surprised if we potentially see something similar, obviously not necessarily the exact same, but overall, once again, bigger picture, not looking good, but just don't be surprised if we potentially bounce from certain levels of support along the way towards the downside, like for example, 1.8k or around 1,500 as major points of support to watch out for along the way towards the downside. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, obviously right now, as of recording this video, the price of XRP is hitting my exact price target that I've been talking about for months now on the channel. No one, or almost no one, believed me when I was talking about $1.30 to $1.40, when I was talking about $1.30 to $1.40 all the way back here at around $2 to even up towards $3. I was talking about around $1.30 to $1.40, and this massive bearish divergence playing out over multiple months, causing a multi-month crash. Pretty much no one believed me when I was talking about these price targets coming next. And obviously, especially the moment we broke below $1.80, that really helped to confirm this next major move down towards $1.30 to $1.40. So now we're hitting my exact price target that I've been calling for months now on the channel, since much higher prices. And if this level breaks, if we break below $1.30, which as of recording this video has not yet happened, but if we break below $1.30 with confirmation, then my next target towards the downside is in between 90 cents to $1. Yes, that is right. We could potentially hit $1 or even slightly below $1 if we first confirm a break below $1.30. But for now, we are hitting this target, and it is possible we could potentially find some short-term support at around $1.30 to $1.40. And so due to all of this happening right now, as predicted, of course, I'm still in my XRP shorts position, but you can notice here that over the last 1 day, I have slightly reduced the size of the trade again, simply just securing a little bit more profits, which is following the exact trading strategy that I've been talking about for a while now on the channel. I've been saying these next major levels of support, these next price targets, are my take profit points, where I'm looking to take some profits, not close the entire trade, but just reduce the size of the trade at each of these levels along the way towards the downside. So once again, I'm just following my own trading strategy that I've been sharing for a while now on the channel, completely transparently, fully for free here on YouTube. And so as of recording this video, I've now actually reduced the size of the trade to a relatively small trade, at least for my situation, at around a 20,000 USD shorts position at the moment. Realized profits now over to 8,000 USD in already secured profits here, and still around over 5,000 USD in unrealized profits. So overall, well over 13,000 USDT in profits just from this one small little XRP shorts position. And so in case you're new to all of this, in case you're new to crypto, or even if you've been in crypto for a while and you're thinking there's no opportunity when prices are dumping, obviously this is a time where everyone's losing money. Do not think that, because that is definitely a mistake to be thinking that no one's making money during all of this bearish price action. Of course, there's always ways to make money in the crypto market if you know what you're doing. Obviously, in the case of a short position, you can profit along the way towards the downside, or if you're just a simple spot trader, of course, you can just wait for potentially lower price targets to hit to accumulate some cheaper assets at lower prices to hold for the longer term. Not financial advice, but that's just pointing out strategies and ways to make money even when prices are dumping. And so moving forward with this trade, I plan to keep the rest of the trade open at least until we potentially hit this next major target. I'm not saying that's guaranteed. Of course, there's no such thing as a guarantee, but if we hit around 90 cents to $1 at some stage in the next few weeks or months, in that situation, I'll take more profits, maybe even close a lot of the trade at around 90 cents to $1 if we hit that level. But otherwise, for the most part, once again, I've already exited a decent amount of the trade, still in the trade to some degree, considering overall we're still bearish, but that's just my trading strategy right now. Obviously, not much else to add here. That is the current situation. And as I said earlier in the video, the profits from this short position more than cover that slight little loss from the Bitcoin trade over the last couple of days, which is why I basically just cut the trade as soon as we started to invalidate that relief. And as soon as we started to break below around 72 to 74,000, obviously that was the point to just get out of the Bitcoin trade. Of course, keep the XRP trade open because it's betting on more bearish price action. So overall, that is my trading strategy, updating completely transparently and for free here on YouTube what I'm doing with my own money. As always, not financial advice, but if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the weekly time frame, obviously Solana is also following the rest of the market at the moment with a continued collapse towards the downside. And in fact, we're breaking below a crucial area of support based on previous significant support in the price of Solana, and that was sitting in between around $95 to $105. And right now, the next target to watch out for is in between $75 to $80. And so yes, that's also potentially another opportunity to trade a bearish move towards the downside. And if we fail to hold $75 as a level of support, if the price of Solana actually starts breaking below especially $70, in that situation, it is quite possible we could see a move all the way down towards around $45 to $50. Yes, that is right. If we see a move below around 75, a confirmed break below 75, let's just say if we're measuring that move towards roughly $50, let's just say, first of all, that's more than a 30% dump. If we go down towards around 45, that's almost a 40% dump, even after all of this bearish price action. And that's with no leverage. So for example, a 10x leverage shorts position, if we're seeing, let's just say, a 30% move, that would be a 300% profit. Obviously, massive profits during a bearish price action. Once again, not financial advice. That's just pointing out a potential massive trading opportunity here that I'll potentially look at doing myself. And as always, keep an eye on whatever Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins. If Bitcoin continues collapsing like this and confirms this break below this key support here, once again, not good news for the altcoin market, but for us traders that can make money in both directions, that is good news. If we have certain price targets along the way towards the downside, remember, we can make money even during the bearish price action. And if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the weekly time frame, it's a similar situation for Chainlink. Obviously, the bigger picture not looking good, looking very bearish right now, breaking below a key area of support, which was in between around $9.50 to $10. And the next massive area of support is sitting in between around $8 to $8.50. And if the price of Chainlink actually breaks below around $8 with confirmation, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, obviously it would be entering into this previous massive sideways price range that we were in for most of 2023 and 2022. So second half of 2022, first half of 2023, we're in this huge range in between roughly $5 to $8. So once again, if we break below $8, the next significant support is at around $5 to $5.50. But that is the current situation. Obviously not looking good, as I've been saying for a very long time, but obviously keep an eye on these levels of support and potential oversold signals where it's possible, yes, we could see the occasional short-term bounce, but as I say for a very long time now, do not be fooled by little short-term bounces or short-term reliefs, because those are only short-term signals. If we're looking at the bigger picture, we're still not looking good. And so those are my expectations, those are my predictions, the key levels, and my trading strategy to watch out for moving forward for the crypto market. And once again, if you want to take any of these trades for yourself, get set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges to take advantage of the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can take these trades for yourself, no matter what direction the price is going, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.